So let's graph cotangent of x real quick. So we know what tan of x looks like, and cotangent is just 1 over tan. So we know what tan of x looks like, so we're going to graph tan of x first, and then do kind of how we did with cosecant and secant, try to figure out what 1 over that would look like. Okay, so if I graph tan, tan is the one that goes from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, and it has vertical asymptotes at both of those. And then it crosses the x-axis at 0, goes up to the right, down to the left. Cotangent is almost exactly the opposite. So it crossed the x-axis at 0, right? So for my cotangent, I'm going to go ahead and put a asymptote then at that 0, because that's where I would have a 1 over 0. And if I drew this out for another period, I would have it pi over 2 plus pi, because tangent has a period of pi. It doesn't have an amplitude because it keeps going up all the way. So pi over 2 plus pi would give me 3 pi over 2. And 0 plus pi would be pi. So it would cross the x-axis again at pi. My tan graph would look the exact same if I drew another period of it. So that means I'd have a vertical asymptote at 0, because that's where it crossed the x-axis, and I've had a vertical asymptote at pi. So kind of like with secant and cosecant, we wanted 3 vertical asymptotes, because then we could graph the function pretty easily. Cotangent and tangent, I want 2 vertical asymptotes, because then I can figure out how it's going. Okay, so let's see, at pi over 2 and tangent, we had a vertical asymptote. So if you remember from fractions, vertical asymptote we got from when it was 1 over 0. That's how we figure out a vertical asymptote for rational expressions. Well, if it's cotangent, it's flipped, so this is actually 0 over 1. So I'm actually going to have it cross the x-axis at my vertical asymptote in tangent, so at pi over 2. This side then, because now we're looking at this part of my tangent graph. So if I look at this side, this is going up pretty high, so this would be 1 over a pretty high number. 1 over a pretty high number is going to be close to 0, so somewhere around there. This would be 1 over a pretty low number. 1 over a pretty low number is going to be higher, like 1 over 1/10 is 10. It's still positive, so it's actually coming down like this. Here, it's the exact opposite, so we're going to go ahead and have it going down like that. So really, it just looks kind of the opposite tangent. We don't graph cotangent as much, so we're just going to do it once.